you to Vandergraaf for sponsoring this month's edition of Road to Recovery. Visit their website for more information about the Vandergraaf drum motor designed specifically for heavy industry applications.
Colin, before I get you out of here, we're in the fall of 2020. It's October at this stage, and it's been a turbulent year for the economy. It's been an interesting year for the aggregate industry. What's the year been like for StonePoint Materials? What's the typical experience been like at a StonePoint operation? And I'm wondering if you want to get your crystal ball out and look into 2021 at this stage. Any expectations for what next year might bring?
Yeah. To say it's been an interesting year, I think is an understatement from all sorts of perspectives. Look, we're fortunate that we've got a diversified group of companies, not only from an operational perspective but also from a market perspective. I kind of reflect what happened earlier in the year, and as COVID, which none of us had heard of about 12 months ago, started to unfold in the first quarter. We started to see, I guess some advanced preparation starting to happen, not only from companies but from some of the states as well. And I guess later in March, when things started to lock down, we saw the states probably at an abundance of caution start to rein back on some of their spending. And even some of the states kind of backed off in some of their letting. What was interesting was, here in Pennsylvania, originally when the shutdown happened late in March, our governor deemed our business to be non-essential. To recall, some businesses had to be shut down, deemed to be non-essential, and some were deemed to be essential, hospitals and stuff like that, food stores. So, believe it or not, the ag industry, and I think we were one of the only states that's happened, the ag industry in the state of Pennsylvania was deemed to be non-essential. We work quite closely with our state association, PACA, and I've got to say, they did a great job helping us actually convince the governor, actually after only a couple of days, that in fact we were deemed to be an essential business. So, I am going to advocate for some of the national and state associations that they do work well. Mentioned kind of some of the slowdown in some of the state spending. A lot of the revenue comes from gas taxes, as you know. And if when the lockdown happened, everybody's staying at home, nobody was driving. You saw, gas taxes, drop in some cases 25-30%. I know there are a lot of analysts that are out there, kind of predicting that, the whole year was going to be down drastically. And as a result of that, again, a lot of the states reined in some of their spending. At least one of the states were involved in any sort of letting for 2 or 3 months. Again, not really knowing what was going to happen. I think the good news is we've seen that come back quite a bit. I mean, we've seen kind of, driving come back. And to the point where gas taxes are actually at levels that they were at last year. So we're starting to see some of the states kind of reopen some of their letting process as well. We've also continued to see some pretty strong residential spending. I guess probably shouldn't be too surprised. So we continue to see some strength there. Where there's likely to continue to be some weakness, maybe a little bit on the commercial side, probably a little more on the retail side. But again, on the industrial side, I think things will continue to kind of pick up there. We actually used this to our benefit a little bit early on. Again, in March, I think we all saw over 2 or 3 days, crude prices actually go to negative $20-30 a barrel, which is unprecedented. I'd never seen that before. So around that time, we actually took advantage of that. So we ended up hedging some of our fuel purchases for a period of time. So we'll kind of continue to benefit from that. So we talk about an unusual year. That's kind of all on the COVID side. which probably has hit us a little bit more with some of our Gulf Coast operations have been the three named storms we've seen over the past couple of months. So, throw that on top of everything else that's happened, none of which you can control. So, but I guess to answer your question about 21, we certainly expect the recovery to continue. As mentioned, we kind of see the states starting to open the spigot again in terms of spending. Residential, we've got a really good backlog of work at a couple of our operations, which seems to be working well. We kind of expect, like I mentioned, the recovery to continue into 2021, probably the second half of the year. I think as I look into my crystal ball, as you said, I think it's going to continue to pick up steam. Probably the second half of the year will probably be a little strong in the first half. But look, from our perspective, we've got long life reserves. So we really tend to manage our business for the long run. We don't try to make decisions on a quarterly basis. We've been around in this business long enough. We understand there are cycles we go through. So that's what we do. We're going to continue to look at operations. We're going to continue to grow the business from an M&A perspective. We know some companies have pulled in the reins a little bit. We continue to look at all sorts of opportunities. And again, the way I think we need to we run our businesses is really looking to looking to the long run. We will we'll pull out of this COVID situation, we'll continue to act accordingly.
Thank you to Vandergraaf for sponsoring this month's edition of Road to Recovery. Visit their website for more information about the Vandergraaf drum motor designed specifically for heavy industry applications.